Hi guys, welcome to Ashdown Engineering's HQ over in Essex in England. I hope everyone's really great and I'm here like an excitable schoolboy. Actually, I have been for this entire range of videos because it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm a massive lover of engineering, and I'm not just talking about new products. I'm talking about products that are designed for a purpose from feedback. Now, if you talk about Ashdown, and you just say Ashdown on its own, you might have a very stereotypical view of a habitual amplifier, big tubes, big cabs, big volumes, big sound, you know, bass magnifier. It's in their DNA, isn't it? You know, heritage even up to today with things like the ABM series. But there's another part of that name, and it's Ashdown engineering, and the engineering bit is the thing that always excites me. Every time that I approach the company and say, guys, have you thought about doing this? 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, all of a sudden I start seeing things, and I'm not going to say I'm the catalyst, that's not like that at all, but there's been loads of cool, really good things. Bass the World, there was a great collaboration with Ashdown and those, and we saw the LB 2.0N came out, which was that wonderful fully loaded valve amp that had 2 notes capabilities inside it, so you had all these lovely cab simulations in there and stuff, and the amp could be run in conjunction with computers and all sorts, which you can't do with sort of historical valve amps. That's innovation, man. That's engineering. That's not just Ashdown, that's the engineering side, which is that's what the name above the door says. But there's so many layers to the company, and when you give them that time, you suddenly go, wow, they've got great DAWs with things like the tone pockets. We've got great things like the headphone things with their sister company, Meters. They've got great preamps available now with all their effects, with the Geezer Butler preamps, stuff like that. And also now this wonderful Ashdown Pro DI, which you're going to see another video from me talking about that product very exclusively. But it's not just there, it's not this range of products, it's also the depth of products. Now let's talk about what I mean by that. Every single bass player out there is individual. Don't believe the hype, guys, you are individual, okay? Now what I mean by that is this: you all have different gigs. Some of you guys are bedroom players, some of you guys are stadium players, and you're gonna need the right product that suits you. Okay, well, let me give you a good example. I've just done one of the biggest UK tours, one of the biggest tours in Europe seen for a number of years. It's been absolutely huge. No amplifier at all. From beginning to end, I just had an Ashdown preamp on the floor and I was on in-ears. So I don't need a massive ABM stack, you know, ripping people's faces off in the front row. Then I could be at a local club or bar where I need a medium-sized cab, maybe a 4x10 or something, and I'm using a more powerful lightweight, you know, so I can move it around like a Class D head. Well, then we can start talking about things like the Root Masters. They're perfect for that. I could be recording at home. That goes back to that LB 2.0, okay, N, that we spoke about earlier on. There's all of these bits of technologies that have been basically produced from feedback from players, real life musicians giving feedback to engineers that are producing products to make your life easier. Okay, well, let's look at the other side of things. What about if I've got a full-time job or I'm in a gig where I'm traveling around a lot? I need an amp which is budget friendly. I need an amp which is lightweight. I can throw it in my gig bag. It's tiny. I live in a little apartment or a flat and I've got no storage at home. You know, the understairs has got bikes and kids stuff in it and toys. Where am I going to put all this stuff? I need an amp which I can plug in, no nonsense, has got a really powerful output and does the job. Well, back in 2016, Ashdown did that for you, okay? And they released the OriginAL. Now, the OriginAL came out with a 300 watt solid state Class D power amp. It was a plug in and play, no nonsense. Roll on to 2024, NAMM this year, Ashdown are releasing the new OriginAL and it's joining the Evo family. We're seeing it here. As you can see straight away, aesthetically, there's going to be a lot of continuality with the theme. If you look at the Root Masters, if you look at CTMs, you look at all of the Ashdown Pro stuff, there's this wonderful new aesthetics, which I love. I absolutely love them. But there's a lot of things here that we can call upon from the old design and how it's been integrated into the new design. Well, first of all, let's talk about the things that, as players, no nonsense players, turn up, plug in, get a great sound at a great budget, a great weight, a great size, let's go. Well, you've got the studio range. There's a fantastic set of combos that Ashdown Engine release, okay? Go and check those out. Multiple size combos, all lightweight, great preamps, great power amps, very versatile, a lot of bang for your buck. But there's also independent units, cabs and heads. OriginAL. As we said already, straight away, this is the new EVO range, okay? So we've got consistencies with the range. I love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant across the entire product range. But there's some things here that are going to be similar, and things that you look at that you might just go, do you know what? I like that product. That product kind of calls to me. I remember watching actually a Doug Wemish video a long time ago where he was talking about an old amp thing called a B Social. And he goes, I don't know what it is. I just like that. There's another product that I love, Elizabeth line, okay? Something you should go and check out as well. It's all desktop speakers. And I just go, I don't know what it is, but that calls to me. Well, you might be a guy that goes, okay, I haven't got a lot of storage, I haven't got a great budget, I just want a great sound, and this might be the product that calls to you. First of all, let's talk about the footprint. This thing is tiny. Look at it. It weighs absolutely nothing. So this is literally going to go in the outside pocket of a gig bag, happily. You're going to be presented 300 watts of power, clean, but don't worry, there's some other little bits in here that we're going to talk about, and it's going to be a plug-in, no nonsense. I don't want to be fiddling with buttons and compressions and drives and where's the DI output. It's all under your fingertips. So let's talk about the amp. First of all, as always, the VU's there. We know it's Ashdown, but it's now in this beautiful new presentation, which is going to be stage friendly. As the world has evolved, guys, we're starting to start seeing a lot more lighting displays, lasers. We're starting to see LED block lighting and big AV presentations. So your actual amp now has to have a smaller visual footprint. The VU meter's still there, it's got to be there, it's Ashdown, right? How can you take on stage and not see that meter? Spot the VU has been on every single tag that I've seen for 10 years. It's still there now. It's a gain meter, so we can expect to see an input gain, which is going to be changing your gain into the preamp from your amplifier, from your bass guitar, whether or not it's active or passive. Very variable, very usable. What's great about here is a very linear pot. So as I play, if I'm kind of plugging into the bass and I'm turning up the gain, it doesn't start distorting straight away, or you find that click point. There's a lot of movement in the pot, so you can really fine tune your gain. That's a really nice thing. That's an engineering perspective that's been taken into account here. The input gain has obviously got an active passive switch. There's a nice pad there, which is very usable. No brainer. If your bass is too powerful, pop the gain, done. That's it, move on. That's what it's about. This amp is about simplicity, usability. There's no, that button works with that button, and I don't know what that little dip switch does. It's done, move on, play. This is about plugging in and playing, no nonsense. Input, pad and input gain. Done. Output, 300 watt power amp, class D, means loads of volume at no weight, okay? Tons of headroom. I was always going under the premise when I was a kid, 3-to-1. If a guitar amp's using 100 watts, you want about a 300 watt to start with. This is old transformer power amps. This is class D. If I was using a 300 watt class D compared to a transformer, that's like a 1,000 watt transformer amp. It's really loud, really powerful. You've got no problems with headroom with this amplifier. Nice clean output, nice clean input for your input stage, that's all good. Things we can start to consider then. Well, with all of the EVO, remember this is now joining the EVO range, that family. The preamp's been given a lot of specific tweaks. We didn't see this in some of the preceding amps, the predecessors of this range. We've sat down, looked at the drawing boards, okay, what do we need to change? One of the things that's echoed across the entire range, whether it's CTM, whether or not it's the Root Masters, whether or not it's the Ashdown Pro DIs or the OriginAL EVO, second generation now, which is with us, is the placement of these frequencies. Okay, bass, mid, treble. Need more top end, turn up the treble. Need bottom end, turn up the middle. If you want to have a little bit more refined sound and it cuts through, turn up the mid. If the mid's not to your frequency, you want it a little bit higher or a little bit lower, then use it accordingly. No nonsense, plug in, play. It just needs to respond to my input. That's it. There's no parametric sweeps and all these high pass, low pass filters. I just want to turn up, plug in, get a great sound. There it is. But the bit you don't know is the refinement that's taken place. Each of these pots have been basically looked at in sort of combination with the sort of things it's going to work with. There's a collaboration here. most amplifiers of this sort of size will probably be used in conjunction with a bigger front of house PA systems. Well, subs and top boxes have what's called a crossover. Now that basically means if I send a frequency and it's really low, it ensures that it goes to the correct speaker. Well, that crossover is normally about 90 to 100 hertz. That's exactly the frequency your bass sits on. So if I'm playing and I go, I want more bottom end, crank that up, it's going to get more bassy. Awesome. But that no nonsense approach, I know the front of the house is going to get the frequency in the correct speaker in that range from the engineering perspective, which is awesome. Mid-range, we know it's going to sit about 660 hertz. That's great, cuts through literally hot knife through butter. Love that. And then the treble is going to sit right up on 7 kilohertz. Now, kilohertz is a funny thing, and some engineers go, oh, I don't like this frequency. 6.5 is one I hear a lot, and they just take it straight out. But the thing about this frequency is it sits on a place where we have tweeters. So let's talk about those. So 7 kilohertz is basically the magic frequency. When we talk about the crossover for subs, there's also this upper crossover, if you want to call that. I'm not technical, it's just no nonsense, right? Which is where the tweeters are. That's what projects all that top end, that zazziness in your sound. I go, zazzy. Yeah, I'm going to regret that when this goes live. Okay, but that's the treble. That sits on, like we said, 7 kilohertz. So take that down, less treble in your sound, more vintage sound, darker sound from your bass from source, but you also know that that frequency is working beautifully in collaboration with the front of house. So although it's no nonsense, although it's plug in, play, get the job done, there's some specifics to the engineering here. There's care, and that's just come from feedback from players. And the players are an incredible portfolio. Go on Ashdown Engineering's website and check out the guys that use it. They're the guys that have helped design that Evo range and refine all these little components that we're seeing on the product list now. So 5-band EQ, very responsive, a lot of play in the controls themselves so that they're delicate. You can crank them, they are responsive, but they're not overkill. There's a lot of amplifiers out there that if you turn up the mid, it's like, wow, it's too much mid. Turn up the treble, that's too much treble. It's not. This very gradual, very musical frequencies, but it's very usable. The thing is though, is that you might be a purist. I love the ABMs. The ABMs were a bass magnifier. You put those in stage, you drop in that subharmonic and it rattled walls. Thankfully, like all of the EVO, there's a shape button. And if I want to just go away from that clean preamp and just drop in the shape, there it is. Absolute beautiful preset. Gives me a gorgeous scoop as opposed to a flat response, which is brilliant. And we see that throughout all the Root Masters. We see that on the Ashdown Pro DI and we see it on the Evo of the OriginAL. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so from the front, once again, input with a beautiful pad and nice input gain. Very, very simple to use. Enough headroom to basically rattle people's trousers in the audience. We like that. 300 watts, Class D, feels like 1,000 watts. It really does. I can't tell you how loud this thing is. I wouldn't need another amp. This is more than powerful enough for most of the arena gigs that I would do with an absolute tiny footprint. And we're talking smaller than a piece of A4 letter if you're American. That's tiny. Okay, right. EQ's in there, pre's in there. So other things you need to know about. Well, there's an FX send and return on the front. Once again, if I just want to turn in, plug in and play, it's all front loaded. It's very similar to the Ashdown, the Pro DI that we spoke about earlier on, but everything being top loaded. It's user friendly. I don't have to be reaching around the back here trying to find dip switches and where's the plug for that? I don't know, it's there. In you go, move on. Simple as that, okay? Exactly the same for the DI. This is a debate for a lot of people. Should DIs be on the front of the amp or should DIs be on the back of the amp? There's a lot of call for this. Okay, well, let's put you in a real life scenario. You are on a dark stage, okay? If you're a local pub or brew house, there's no lighting, so it's pitch black, okay? You're more likely to kick over your amp than actually be able to make adjustments to it. And you just want to, you've got a problem with the DI. The cable's not in properly, it's crackling. Where is it? There. Done. It's not about reaching behind. Once again, you're on a cramped little stage and trying to find those inputs. That's all gone. So footprint is something here that's being considered, but accessibility is also something that's being considered. So our effects loop is on the front of the amp, the input is on the front of the amp, the DI out is on the front of the amp. There's other small adjustments which I really like. With a lot of bigger amps, we see this on the Root Master, okay, speak on out. So you've got big chunky speaker cables on the back. This not, these are 1/4 inch speak on outs at the back, okay, so sorry, 1/4 inch speaker cables. So you have a smaller footprint with the components, which allows you to have a smaller footprint with the amplifier. No nonsense, great tone, great sound, great usability, small price, small footprint for home storage and transportation. Absolute winner, no brainer. Something you should go check out. Guys, I'm Phil Mann. Welcome to the Ashdown HQ. Welcome to the EVO range. It's something that definitely demands your attention. See you next time.